Hey there. So, welcome to this talk on how to build your ideal homeschool day. I am Erin Cox, and this is going to be one of those things where we're kind of going through a few steps, and it may not feel initially like what I'm talking about has a whole lot to do with building an ideal homeschool day. But the goal of what we're doing today is building a foundation so that you have the ability to build your ideal homeschool day. So we're going to dive in. If you're not familiar with me, I'm going to introduce my family, but I want to make sure that you have downloaded the PDF that comes with this workshop. It is very much a workshop. It's not a presentation, and this is pre-recorded. So you have the ability to pause it and work through the steps as I walk you through it together. So you can use just a normal notebook if you want to, but I think that you'll find that the resources and the tools and the little PDF that we've created for you will be super duper helpful as you walk through this workshop. So let's dive right in and talk about how to build your ideal homeschool day. So this is my sweet family. This is me and my husband and our 4 children. We have been homeschooling for over 14 years. I have graduated my 2 oldest children, who are now 20 and 18. And then I still homeschool our younger 2, who are 9 and 8. They're in the 2nd and the 3rd grade. We've been married for 20 something years. I'm really bad. It'll be 23 years. I'm really bad at the math aspect of it. We've been married for 23 years. We live in Central Alabama, as you can probably tell from my accent. And we have a small little homestead, and our whole family runs the Gentle and Classical Press. My husband works with me as our inventory and shipping manager. And my older daughter, Izzy, here also does graphic design and editing and all kinds of stuff for us. So that's our little family in a nutshell. I wanted you to know kind of who we are so that you have some framework for what my experience is and all these kinds of things. So know as I talk about all of the things we're talking about today, that wherever you are, I've probably been there. We have a lot of neurospiciness in our family, including myself. And we also have learning disabilities, those types of things. I have a broad span of age. I have homeschooled a high school senior at the same time as a kindergartner. So we've kind of been through some things, and I've learned a lot of really, I think, valuable and helpful lessons that I want to share with you throughout this workshop. So what are we going to be doing today? The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to clarify confusion and help you to build the best homeschool day that you can. But it's really important before we dive into this, I'm like tongue-tied today, that we realize that every family is different, right? We all have different values. We all have different motivations for homeschooling. We all have different goals and experiences. We come into this with different expectations, different amounts of support, different ideas of what it's going to look like, different ideas for what we want to accomplish. And that's all okay. And that's the most important thing, is that as we walk through this workshop, we're going to be building something that is individual to your family. And it will not, and it should not look like the same thing as someone else's family. So often we have kind of ideas, and then we get on social media and we hear so many other people's ideas, and we see all their pretty moments and all these different things, that it ends up making us feel like, well, I should be doing this, or I should be doing that, or maybe I should care about that, but I kind of don't care about that. And you just kind of get caught up in all the other ideas and noise that's in the world, and you could forget about what is unique to your family. So as we're going through this, shed all that, right? Get rid of it. And we're going to be developing kind of a litmus test from how to make homeschooling decisions that is the form of a homeschool mission statement, or like a vision statement, those types of things. And you could already have one of these for your family. You may have made one for your homeschool family in the past. You may have one right now that's fresh, and maybe you don't need this at all, and this is going to be a waste of your time. I have no idea. Hopefully it'll be helpful regardless of where you fall on that spectrum. But since you'll have a mission statement as you leave the end of this workshop, this is going to prepare you to say yes, no, and maybe later to different opportunities. And because you will feel confident and empowered to say yes, no, and maybe later, it will help you cull through all of the opportunities and the noise and the decisions that you have to make about what you're going to include in your homeschool day, in your homeschool year, and just in your family, the culture of your family. So this is kind of like this foundation for being able to make decisions confidently, without FOMO, without overwhelm, without comparison. Okay, so this is our family's mission statement. I wrote one many years ago. It's changed over time. This is our most refreshed version of it. After 14 years of homeschooling, I was able to be like, look at it and say, well, this is kind of what I sought as the vision and the goal initially. But over time, I've learned stuff like what's important to me is different than what was important 14 years ago. What I know now is different than what I knew 14 years ago. I've parented children through the teen years. I've educated through the teen years. I've just grown a lot in 14 years. So this has evolved for sure, and yours should too. But this is what ours is right now. Our homeschool is rooted in faith, creativity, and intentionality in order to cultivate integrity, resilience, initiative, curiosity, and the skills of logic. I should say logic and rhetoric through hands-on learning. I'm looking around my camera here. Through hands-on learning, community learning, daily living, athletics, nature study, and the beauty subjects. We aim for our children to grow in the wisdom and love of the Lord, see God's glory in every aspect of creation, understand their God-given design and purpose, and live their lives as virtuous citizens and stewards. So that's kind of big, and it's very idealistic, and that's okay. So because we have chosen specific virtues, specific outcomes, and specific methods inside of that statement, it has allowed me to narrow my focus and say yes to things with joy and no to things without guilt and FOMO. So a big part of this is kind of like getting rid of all the extraneous, unnecessary opinions in your life. So if you're really struggling with knowing what you should and shouldn't include in your homeschool day, whether it's activities, extracurricular methods, the subjects you do every day, how you schedule your day, whether it's structured, like a philosophy, there's all these different decisions we have to make. It's really quite overwhelming, especially if you're in the first couple of years of this. So whenever you have to make all of that, there's so much to sort through. The last thing that you need is more people telling you or making you feel like you should or shouldn't be doing things a certain way. So if you're really in a serious place of overwhelming comparison and burnout because you just don't know what the heck to do because you are supposed to do a million things and you can't do all of it, then I do want you to spend some time doing a social media fast over the next maybe 30 days. What we're going to be walking through, I would love for you to kind of walk through it with me, like right now today, and just kind of pause as you need to. But at the same time, this could be something that you work on and pray through and walk through with your husband over the next 30 days or so. So if you're going to do that and you really want to be intentional about it so that you can get the absolute most value from it possible, I really want to encourage you to like shut everybody else up and kind of narrow down and just hear from your heart, hear from your husband, hear from the Lord, and go from there. Okay. So because I have that mission statement, it has allowed me to make some decisions for our family about different things. It is yeses and nos, right? Yes, because of my mission statement, we love to be involved in intimate, casual co-ops. That's kind of part of like the creativity and the intuitiveness and stuff that's found in our mission statement. Not super focused on highly structured or STEM co-ops. Now, if I have a kid that really like exhibits a strong affinity and interest in STEM type things, I'm not against those things. But while they're younger and we're just kind of like living life and figuring things out, that's not something I'm going to seek out. I don't want the co-op to tell me everything I have to do. I don't want to go to co-op one day and then my entire week is dictated by what they're doing at co-op. I want it to be supplemental and fun. I can say yes to curriculum and opportunities that embody the Charlotte Mason classical education philosophies. I'm not going to say yes to things that are like traditional school books at home. We want living books and not textbooks. We want hands-on art. We don't want to ignore art because we think that STEM activities are more important. I want intuitive curricula that allows me to be a little spontaneous and creative in how we implement it. I do not want a scripted daily lesson with formal testing. It's easy for us to say yes to things like mixed martial arts and other sports because for us, those sports can help us grow and some of the virtues that are important to us. For our family, we're not going to not do some of that stuff. It's very important to our family. We do homesteading and we kind of live and learn at the same time. We're not going to sit down and do a long school day and get to every single subject every single day. And speech and debate club is a big yes for us when it comes to learning logic and rhetoric. So here's the important thing about this, and I'm not sure if I say this on the next slide or not. But I'm going to give you a couple of samples because what's important to you and what your family values is not going to be the same as me. And what I said to begin with, it still stands, it shouldn't be, okay? So I'm going to give you one more sample and what that person's yeses and nos would look like, and they're going to be different from mine, and that is okay. Education should fit the family and the child. It should bring out the best and the most beautiful and the goodness that is inherent in that family and in that child. It is not one size fits all, right? Like we are not doing one size fits all. So why are we sitting around trying to make our homeschool look like other people's homeschools? We literally homeschool so that we have the uniqueness and the ability to be flexible and customizable. So here's a totally different sample mission statement. Our homeschool is built on structure and academic excellence to cultivate discipline, mastery, and a strong work ethic through scripted lessons, standardized assessments, and rigorous focus on core subjects. We aim for our children to achieve academic success, develop critical thinking skills, and prepare confidently for higher education and future careers. Now, I can identify with some of that. I want my kids to be able to be critical thinkers, and I want them to be prepared for higher education and future careers, depending upon what that looks like for them. But things like standard assessments, scripted lessons, hyper focusing on core subjects, for our family, it's just not it, right? And that's okay. So for this family with this mission statement, that's kind of the opposite of ours in many ways, they're going to have different yeses and nos, right? So just be prayerful and authentic to yourself as we develop your mission statement so that your homeschool experience, your family culture, your family's vision and mission statement aligns with your beliefs, your desires, and your values. So for this family, yes, they want scripted lessons with clear expectations. They do not want open-ended curricula without specific goals or detailed structures. Quite the opposite of me. They want regular assessments. They do not want to be learning without having some formal evaluations to let them see where their child is progressing and where their child is maybe behind their school-age peers in a way that's like quantitative and measurable. That's important to this person. They want to go to a traditional structured co-op that's going to give them all of the subjects and help them plan their week. They're not going to be focused on an art and craft co-op that's just humanities focused. They want textbooks and they want workbooks. They're not going to use a lot of living books. They're fine with virtual school things if that's going to give them what they need. They're definitely not into like an unschooling approach, and their extracurriculars might be focused around the STEM subjects, and they're not going to be involved in things that don't have a measurable outcome. Just as an example, for someone that if you're wanting to see someone that's totally different in how their mission statement would change their yes and no answers. So now we're going to build yours, and this is where your little workbook comes in handy. I don't have one printed out, so I don't have like what page number, but I think in the workbook we start out with just kind of a brain dump that, if you want to go ahead and pause this and do that brain dump now that we've kind of gotten warmed up just a little bit, that's not a bad idea. And what we're going to do is we're going to brainstorm your 4 areas that we're going to plug into our kind of like basic little, and let's get my chair up some, our basic little I don't know, structure for the mission statement. Now, once you get into this, you might not like the structure of the mission statement. You might want to structure it completely differently. But what I wanted to do was give you a template that you can kind of fill in the blank. And you'll notice in your workbook that I also give you some words to use, that I try to grab like a variety of different words, not just words that would fit me, but would fit someone the opposite of me and kind of somewhere in the spectrum, those types of things. So that way, if you really struggle with like coming up with what's the right word, this might be a good springboard. You don't have to pull from that list, obviously, but it just can kind of, get your brain kind of moving, get the creative juices flowing. Now, another suggestion is if you have a friend that maybe is in the same season of homeschooling, or maybe she's struggling in the same way, it can be helpful to do this together. I've done this exercise with an online book club before, and hearing everyone else's mission statement just opened my mind, opened everyone's minds and hearts to like things that we had not really considered that is important to us too. So it just helps you to kind of like open up kind of your creative juices. And Chat GPT is helpful too if you're into using AI for things like that. So the first thing you'll want to do is choose the foundation from the beginning of that mission statement. These are words that already describe important traits in your family, like what is already true of the character and the dynamic and the skills and the values of your family. These are things that usually, like your husband's a certain way and you're a certain way, and those are strengths and values that you're already bringing to the table. And then together, that can also cultivate new strengths and skills and talents. And you've been married and you've parented all the way up into the point that you are now. So what virtues, what values, what skill sets, what beliefs are already a part of your family's dynamic and truth, that they're the foundation, right? Like they're the beginning of what you're building off of in the first place. So examples of this are faithful, or you can kind of frame these however you want to, but faithfulness, diligence, kindness, creativity, joyfulness, enthusiasm, adventurousness, consistency, spontaneity, excellence, freedom. Like there's all these different kinds of things. For me, like my husband and I are both, we've come into our marriage very similar backgrounds. We grew up together, very like-minded. We don't have a lot of areas of disagreement. So this was pretty easy for us. We're both very hardworking. We're both very diligent. We're both very honest. And those are values that we've like built into our family. We're both very creative. My husband doesn't think he's creative, but he actually is incredibly creative. So creativity is a big part. We're both entrepreneurial. That's another big part of it. So there's a lot of things that are true of him. He's very handy. We believe that like with the right amount of initiative that we can do anything that we set our mind to, because the internet, right? We have YouTube. Like there's nothing that we can't do because we have new YouTube. So we're very self-motivated, have a lot of initiative to kind of get things done that we need to get done. So just kind of ask yourself what's true already of you and your family. And those are going to be, use some keywords, maybe 3 to 5, or whatever feels right for you, that are foundational words for your family. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about what do we desire to cultivate in our family, in our children, in their hearts, in their minds, in our daily lives. These are characteristics or virtues that you want to share with your children that you would love to see be generational blessings for your family. For us, integrity, initiative, resilience, independence, creativity, generosity, kindness, discipline, mastery, faith, excellence. These are all like really beautiful ideals that are not, we'll get to what the mission statement's not in a minute, but these are not, we're not writing a recipe that's going to turn out the perfect kid, right? But we certainly want to dream. We certainly want to cast vision, because without a vision, the people perish. We have to have an end goal to be working toward that end goal. Because if there's not something we're working toward, then we're just working without any intentionality. And how can you accomplish a goal with no purpose or vision toward that goal? So we can seek to cultivate these things in our children through the choices that we're making academically, the way we conduct ourselves in our family, in our home. Always a point of growth, always somewhere like a higher ground to move toward, right? So go ahead, pause video if you need to, and go ahead and write down, brainstorm, brain dump, write all over that paper everything that you desire to cultivate for your children. These can be virtues, these can be skills. It doesn't have to just be like character traits and stuff like that. It can be like specific skills that are important. Like one thing that it's not in my mission statement, but like our children being very able-bodied with vehicles, being able to change a tire, like those types of things are really important to us. There's a lot of skills. So you can make this as detailed as you want to. And then the last thing is, how are you going to cultivate it? And this is more of the methods or the techniques. Now, you're a new homeschooler, then you're like, I have no idea what Charlotte Mason is or classical education or unschooling, and that may be a little overwhelming to you. So if the philosophies of education are something you're not super familiar with, I would say number one, that would mean that it's a great opportunity for you to spend the next month, make this a 30-day project, and go ahead and write down some of the things that you kind of idealize or want to do with your children. Maybe you've seen it online, or you've thought, I love to do this when I was in school, or just whatever, wherever the seed came from. Go ahead and write those things down. They don't have to be part of an educational philosophy. But then go ahead and start learning about these different educational philosophies. And I think there's quizzes online. Like I think if you Google like homeschool style quiz, there's a few different ones of those that you can find if you're trying to narrow these things down, that will help you get an idea of what would fit your family best. But hold it loosely and expect that over time, as you lean into one philosophy or the other, you'll start to kind of see what you like and what you don't like about it, and that's going to shift. But this is our method, right? So unschooling, nature study, artist study, Charlotte Mason philosophy, classical education, textbooks, assessments, unit studies. These are all different ways that you're going to try to cultivate the desires of your heart and your family's culture and in the hearts and minds of your children throughout these long years that go by very quickly of home education. And then the last thing we're going to do is like, what are our goals? Like we have these virtues that we want to cultivate in our children, and we have skills that we want to teach them. So what is the ultimate end? You know, we have, if you're a believer, the ultimate end is to glorify God and make him known. So that could be part of it. But what other things would you desire to see your children either interested in or capable of or possessing by the end of your home education days? So it's really important. It's important. Outcomes are not promised. And I see a lot on social media, on Instagram specifically, of very well-meaning, very fervent, very excited, very passionate young moms who have children that are all, you know, babies up to 10, 11, 12 years old, maybe even 13 and 14 sometimes. They have very passionate desires for their children. And they've looked at the world and they've seen how things have gone if you do certain things, and they've decided that they're not going to do those things. And they've decided that if they don't do those things, or if they do these other things, that certain things will happen in their children. And that is our job, first of all. So I'm not criticizing that act, right? Like we are in charge of our children. We have been given them by God in order to disciple them, teach them, love them, correct them, protect them, discipline them. That's our job, right? So no criticism there. But the problem is that the tone is, if you do or don't do A, B, C, then this will happen or this won't happen, as if they are a vending machine or a math equation of some sort. So I just want to encourage you, as a mom who has like a 20-year-old and an 18-year-old. My 18-year-old is already a young mom, so we've been through some things. And I want you to understand that you are sowing seeds, and those seeds are not necessarily going to sprout while your children live under your roof. And the decisions that you make for your family and for your children do not guarantee any type of outcome. It does not guarantee a certain kind of career. It does not guarantee a certain type of ethic or virtue in your child. It doesn't guarantee a certain type of personality or attitude, and it certainly does not guarantee their salvation. So just as you are going through this, know that like we've been called by the Lord to do these things in our family, all that I've listed already. and to be intentional about them and to cast vision and to work with intentionality and purpose. We've got to know where we're headed, right? But at the same time, please don't treat this like a recipe for the perfect day or the perfect child, because there is no such thing, right? The happy shinies that we see online, sometimes it seems like there's a perfect child or a perfect day or a perfect plan, but that's a moment in time, right? And so just hold all that loosely and be really, really wise about voices you're listening to online, whether they're promising you certain outcomes, making you feel like there is supposed to be a particular outcome. And hold these goals that we're writing very loosely. They're giving you a direction to steer the ship, but they're not guaranteeing there's not going to be some icebergs on the way. Okay. So it's examples of these types of goals would be college scholarships, academic excellence, faith in Christ, generosity, being servant-hearted, being a critical thinker, being a good citizen, having confidence, being an entrepreneur, being prepared for career, being adventurous. So there's all kinds of different goals we can hope for our children. And over here on the other side of the screen, we have kind of the template of our statement, right? Our homeschool is built on fill in the foundation, 2, 3, 4, 5 words to cultivate, fill in that through the methods, right? We aim for our children to fill in a few goals. And so this is a very easy template for you to take the different words that you've plugged in your workbook as we've walked through this and place it in, and you have a whole mission statement. And if it doesn't read like you want it to, just keep playing with it. Just keep kind of tossing ideas around, keep praying over it until it feels holistic and genuine and real and not like some type of like crazy unattainable dream that you're going to like drive you and your family crazy and trying to accomplish. Like, make sure that this is like real for you and your family, and also hold it loosely over time. Come back to it and revisit it, because now we're going to talk about what do we do with this, right? Like, this is a fun exercise. I think everyone I've ever done this with, we really enjoy to create and cast vision, right? Like, if you are a mom, you are an idealist. And if you are a homeschool mom, you are the most extreme idealist. So we have big, beautiful ideals for our family and how we can impact the world and how our children can impact the world and all of these different things. And we need that more than ever before right now. But we've got to know like how to use this statement to actually help us reduce the overwhelm, reduce the decision fatigue, and kind of like narrow down and build a homeschool day and a homeschool year that fulfills these qualities and helps us to move slowly over time toward the goals and the intentions that we've set. So these are our yeses and nos, right? As new opportunities come up, you're going to be able to use this statement to have clarity and intentionality to kind of filter. You got different opportunities, curriculum, field trips, different obligations. Do we want to volunteer? Do we want to be involved in sports? Do we want to do this? Do we want to do all the sports, or do we want to do buckle down and just do one for really long term? Like, it's different for everybody. So we all have things that we're going to need to file as a yes for us, a no for us, and a maybe. Like, we're going to put this on the shelf. So yeses, these are methods, activities, opportunities, and materials that reinforce key parts of my mission statement. When I look at this co-op, when I look at this field trip, when I look at this curriculum's book list, I can say, yes, yes, yes. It embodies these values, and I can see how it's going to produce this fruit, and that is in line with my family's goals and who we are as a people group. And they don't just like not violate your mission statement, but these are the things that like you can look at them and clearly see that they are helping you towards your end goals. They are helping you build the days, the vibe, the environment, and the life that you want for yourself and for your children. These are the clear yeses. And then sometimes there's going to be a no. And no's are not bad. No's mean that you know what's right for you, right? A no means I know the path that I'm on and I have clarity, and I don't have to be concerned with things that are not for us. they're not your best yes, as Lisa Turkers would say. They might be a yes for someone else. They might be really, really, really good, but that doesn't mean they're the best thing for you right now in your current season based upon what your family's missions and goals are. So it might be a popular philosophy, it might be a popular co-op, it might be, a certain way of doing your day, your school day, all these types of things. Like if it's not fitting what you desire for your family, what you feel like God has pointed to you to as you have intentionally and prayerfully developed this mission statement, then just leave it alone. Like, don't look at no's as hurting someone or missing out on something. Like, FOMO is so real, right? Like, those things are the right fit for someone, but they don't have to be the right fit for you. And there's going to be things that you do, that you're involved in, that you use, that you enjoy, that's right for your family, that's a horrible fit for someone else. So just be comfortable saying no to the things that are not right for your family. Then we've got maybe, right? These are things that are probably very good yeses for us, but maybe they're not the right season, right? Like, if I have a couple of toddlers at home that are into everything, maybe we're not doing a lot of crafts. For example, like in our personal life, like I was like the craft queen when my girls were little. They loved to do crafts. We saw a lot of benefit from craft. And so we always had the art supplies out. We were always doing the crafting. And then I had two more babies. And my girls started doing a lot of independent work. We didn't do everything together like we used to. And I never pulled out craft supplies because everything was already overwhelming and they were going to get into it so hard and just turn it into a nightmare. And so now that my girls are big and my boys are bigger than they were, like now we're back to pulling out the crafts and the paints, and they can be neat with it and they can help me clean it up. It's not all on me. And I don't have a baby getting into it. So those are just, things to consider. If you're not sleeping through the night, maybe trying to do hands-on science learning every day is not a good idea either. Maybe you need a functioning brain to be able to do that. And if you're getting like 5 hours of interrupted sleep, you don't have a functioning brain. I give you permission right now, put the hands-on science away. If you're not sleeping at night, kind of do something online, do something that's a co-op, do something that fits your family in a different way than what you might see someone else doing, and you feel compelled to like that you should do it. And maybe you really love science and you want to do science with your kids hands-on every day, but it's not the right season. Shelf it. In 2 years, it might be the right season. In just a year, it might be the season. Just shelf it. It's not a no, it's just a not right now. So one more connection, or one more example, just to give you in case you're struggling. So here's another mission statement. Our homeschool school is built on close connection, adventure, and peacefulness to cultivate curiosity, a love for learning, and adaptability through unschooling, hands-on learning, notebooking, and frequent field trips. We aim for our children to have adventurous spirits, personal responsibility, joyful work ethics, and be creative problem solvers. Now, questions to consider. I'm like being awkward looking around my camera here. Questions to consider using the mission statement as a litmus test. So this is like, how do I take that mission statement and use it as a filter to decide yes, no, or maybe? All right, will this help support our families' close connections and our priority of peace? If I'm this person, I have said, like, in our family, we have close connections, adventure, and peacefulness. Like, peace is very important to us, and we're a very close-knit family. So is this opportunity going to fit into that? Or is it going to have us going in a million different directions? Is it going to bring chaos into our family in some way? Like, is it going to align with maintaining that? Or is it going to challenge it and harm it in some way? Will this help us to grow in curiosity or the skill of adaptability? So here I'm wanting to cultivate these virtues, right? I want my children to be curious. I want them to learn how to be adaptable. I want them to have a desire for learning. So is this going to foster those attributes, or is it going to leave them feeling stunted? Is it going to blunt their curiosity? Is it very rigid so that they're not having to be challenged in learning to be adaptable? Does this allow for the freedom of exploration that I desire? So again, if this person's looking at something that's an opportunity for their kids to like learn new skills, get out in nature, do some exploring on their own or with their peers, being challenged in new ways, that's gonna, that's gonna give them the adventure and the connection and stuff that they desire. If it's a classroom and it's textbooks and stuff, that doesn't feel like a good fit for this family. And then like they specifically want to do notebooking. So will I be able to implement notebooking with this? Are we going to be able to journal and kind of reflect this back in our notebooks at some point? Because that's an important part of her homeschooling methodology that she wants to make sure she includes in a lot of different ways, either because she feels like it's a really good opportunity for narration and reflection, or maybe it's a documentation of what they've done because they need to turn something in at the end of the year, right? So there's a lot of different reasons that that might be a priority for her that's not necessarily a priority for someone else. If you need a portfolio of work, your priorities are going to be different than someone like me. I don't have to have a portfolio of work in Alabama, and I don't have to have my children take an assessment at the end of the year. So someone that has those types of boundaries on their educational freedoms in their state may have to approach these things differently. So for this person, local field trip club sounds perfect as long as it's like really relaxed and it's not rigid and the kids are allowed to kind of like explore and ask questions and be curious. An online notebooking course that helps them develop their ability to narrate or develop their ability to illustrate on their notebooking pages. Go into the library is a great time for peacefulness and family connection. Volunteering with a passion project also sounds like it'd be a yes for them. And then frequent nature walks as a family also sounds like it'd be a yes for them. No for them is a scripted curriculum with long to-do lists. That's not going to give them the adventure. That's not going to give them it certainly doesn't fall into the unschooling, textbooks as well, like isolated independent work that's going to violate their desire for close connection, rigid schedules that's going to break their peace, highly structured co-op that's dictating what they need to do every day of the week. Again, these are all things that are like the opposite of someone who wants to do notebooking and hands-on learning and unschooling and be out roam schooling and those types of things. And so then for her, based upon season, she might consider a monthly co-op with science and art activities if she's ready to have something that's like, consistently present for her family. She might want to consider an art club subscription so they can do a little bit more kind of hands-on learning and develop their notebooking skills and such through something she doesn't have to prep. And then a family world schooling adventure might be something that she's like, when the kids are older, we want to go live in a different country for a month so we can really challenge our children's adaptability to adapt and help them develop curiosity and all those types of things. So I hope that's helpful to see, like, this is her mission statement, and these are kind of questions to frame around the mission statement. And then there's yeses and nos and maybes. So hopefully that's helpful to kind of give you the overall idea. You are so welcome to reach out to us at any time. I'm Erin again. I am the founder of the Gentle and Classical Press. I'll also have a blog that's like attached to our shop. It's lifeabundantlyblog.com. We have a curriculum advisor, Whitney, that if you fill out this mission statement and you're still struggling, she has a master's degree in curricula. She loves everything about curriculum. Obviously, that's why she works for me. And she is happy to answer your questions, even if it really doesn't have anything to do with Gentle and Classical. Obviously, we want you to use our stuff, but we may not be a good fit for you. And that's why we offer all of our teachers' guides for free. So if you've ever heard of our preschool or our Sequence One or our primer or any of our nature study programs, our On Mission magazine, which is a cultural magazine, we also have morning basket plans. We give away free, complete, like a whole morning basket plan and a whole magazine and our entire teacher's guides to all of those things so that you can know without a doubt that what we're going to be doing and the way that we're going to be doing it and why we're doing it is in line with your family's mission statements. So make sure you check us out at shopdentalclassical.com. You could follow us on Instagram at that handle there, and reach out anytime. And I hope you really enjoy spending time intentionally walking through and praying through this activity with your family, getting some input for from your kids as well, and just figuring out what is the right approach for your family, at least for the short-term season. And then help allowing those decisions and that clarity to be a litmus test for all these other smaller decisions that can just get big and overwhelming at times. Thanks again for joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful day.